we just saw the trailers for Watch Dogs and Titanfall.
No, we
No?
watched it for Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, and Call of Duty Black Ops 3.
Call of Duty was Titanfall, right? And Deus Ex was Watch Dogs?
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
Got it.
Yeah, so both of them are, while Deus Ex, it makes sense for them to be questioning human augmentation. Like, that's been, like, the theme of the series. Would you
Yeah, that's
agree?
been like a cyberpunk thriller shooter series.
Right. And then now, apparently Black Ops 3 is deciding to ask that question as well.
They had to do something, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just weird that, like, they waited for Deus Ex to come back to decide to go that direction.
I don't know that it's necessarily related, right? I look at it this way. Madden started us off with the annual game, right? They've since what, 94 or something? 1990?
Sounds about
Yeah.
right.
Forever ago, Madden started cranking out an annual title. And FIFA, NBA, NHL, all the sports games come out every single year. Esports becomes a thing, or even without esports, shooters start making kick-ass money. They release them, they make $1 billion or $500 million or something. So Madden, every new release, they update the roster for the year. Call of Duty started as a World War II franchise. It moved into Modern Warfare, then Black Ops. Got a little crazy. But what are you going to do, man? Are they reacting to Human Revolution?
I mean,
are they releasing an annual game?
No, I mean, it just feels like Deus Ex had, like, the monopoly, not just in video games, but in social media, anything about, like, questioning human augmentation and if it's good or not, stuff like that. I don't blame them for going that direction. It just seems like, I mean, we saw both trailers and you could have interlaced the two. And
No, I thought they both, like I said, it felt to me like we were watching Titanfall trailer and a Watch Dogs trailer.
I won't even, you played the first Deus Ex.
Yeah, I played the first, the third, and the fourth. Or
The first and the third.
There
Yeah,
you go.
first and the third. This would be the fourth.
Yeah,
I mean,
made
it's,
up my
it's
own
excellent.
fourth.
It's not Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs is kind of bad. This is
Yeah, I didn't play that. This one just looks like the promotional materials for it.
I don't know. Like, this one, this trailer actually shows mechanics. Like, instead of having the dart guns, now he has them in his wrist. You saw that where he had the knuckles raised up and then
Yeah.
he shot, and then he, like, lowered his wrist and shot the cannon out. Like, this is actually showing game mechanics in the trailer.
You think?
Yeah, the blade that shot out, that's also something that's added. So this game trailer is showing what you can do in the game.
I mean, it's showing the weapons. The Call of Duty one did too.
Yeah.
Got wall running.
But I'm saying, like, those are all things you can actually do. I mean, it's fine. I just think that it's just a happy coincidence that both trailers launched in the same week or so. And
I mean, Ex Machina, the movie came out within the last couple of weeks too,
Yeah.
right? Like this, it's a hot button topic.
now, well,
Tech
I mean,
CEOs.
now Ex Machina, that's totally different. That's AI. This is human augmentation.
No, you're right. I mean,
How
how about blurring the line between people and machines is all the rage nowadays.
Yeah. So as far as Deus Ex is concerned, it's going to be similar to the previous one, and similar to Deus Ex in general. You had 3 choices at the end of the last one.
You know, when you say similar to Deus Ex in general, the first one
You
was
had
this.
Right, but you had 3. I'm saying you had 3 choices at the end of the first one too.
Did you?
Yeah, you
I
could
don't know
either
that well.
become one with the mind, or you could side on the side of the or the whatever, not the Templar,
I mean, you may as well, dude. It's basically Assassin's Creed.
yeah, it is. But so the first Deus Ex ended with 3 choices you could make. You could either tell them the truth, you could tell them that the humans did it. You can it was maybe 4 choices. Yeah, you could tell them the truth. You can tell them that the humans caused the incident that occurs. You can tell them that
By them, I don't remember who you could tell. Who are you talking about?
So at the very end, all the augmented people become zombies for a little while and start attacking people.
Yeah.
And you can say who you blame it on.
Yeah, I don't remember that well.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. I
Yeah.
was in high school, man. That
No,
came-
I'm talking about the third one.
Oh, that was like a year ago.
Yeah,
I played
okay.
like 5 games since then.
All right, no. So what I was trying to get to is that the choice you made in the last game won't affect this game.
Okay.
And they said that's because when they made that last game, they were just trying to make, like, they didn't know it was going to become a franchise again. They were just trying to make a good game.
Oh, they didn't realize that people might actually buy it.
Right.
Is that?
And then, but they have said that they're looking into this, starting with this game on, that your choices will carry through,
Okay.
kind of like Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Now they said that the 3 choices that you got at the end, they'll try to incorporate all 3 of those into what happened here, like kind of like all 3 happened type thing.
So like the first 5 minutes will be different.
Well, no, it won't be that. It'll be
You think it'll be Mass Effect level differences where you just run into a different character? From the
that's
same
I think
spot in
what's
the
going to be
story?
going on in the future. But now there won't be any difference at the beginning. There won't be any difference in gameplay, but they'll just like briefly reference the 3 options that could have occurred lightly. Like, oh, I think it was the augmented people who did it, and that'd be like the nod to the previous game.
So it'll be open for new players to start the series
Right.
with that one.
And then and then this guy, this is Adam, and his son is JC, also known as Jesus Christ.
Wait a minute. J.C. Denton was the good guy from the first Deus Ex.
Yeah, and this is his dad, Adam.
Okay.
Like Adam and Eve, JC.
Yeah.
Yeah, get the.
Nice.
So my other question, since like everyone's making, like not everyone, but there were people who are pointing out the similarities between the two, is does Deus Ex have the monopoly on how we will see human augmentation?
No.
No,
What
Not
what
even
does?
close.
that's not how you use that word.
One, many
Okay,
people
if
have
I
done
said dinosaurs are being recreated, what would you think of?
it. Oh, like what franchise comes to mind?
Yeah,
So Jurassic Park was huge. Everyone, Jurassic
understand.
Park is a household name in the United States.
Right.
If you ask someone what they thought of Deus Ex, they'll be like, "Sex? What?" Like,
I understand.
nobody's heard of it, so they get no monopoly.
I don't know
here.
if no one's heard of it. Square Enix made this, and
Yeah, this one though is careful to take. Like, I acknowledge games are totally viable pop culture. They
Right.
play along just with anybody else. But that still doesn't mean that greater than 10% of the population have heard of Square Enix to begin with. Like, I think if you went and asked strangers what they thought of Square Enix, they'll say, "I have no idea what you're talking about." You know what I
Right.
mean?
So you're saying it's the number of people, but the
So-
people who have played it would reference it.
Maybe, but they've probably also seen Ghost in the Shell, and Ghost in the Shell did it
Yeah.
10 years. Well, yeah, 10 years before Deus Ex did. And there's a new series or a new game also, like Cyberpunk 2077. Have you heard of that one?
Is that the one that was supposed to be a Star Wars game?
Oh, I have no idea what
No.
you're talking about there. It's something that you may want to check out to help
Yeah.
work your way into this discussion, because I think that looks far more like Deus Ex. Because like I said, when I see these trailers, I see Watch Dogs and I see Titanfall. The
I did
connection
see
between,
Titanfall with Black Ops 3. Like the wall running became very popular after Titanfall.
yeah, like they're going frantic shooter with big
Mhm.
robots, and so I saw that. The parallels between Deus Ex and Call of Duty, they appeal to entirely different audiences. And I mean, the subject matter maybe of their campaign storylines might, now they're both going to ask questions about human augmentation.
Right.
But Deus Ex is going to be built to be a first-person experience that explores that, and global conspiracies is that game's
Right.
wheelhouse. Call of Duty is going to give you a 5-hour long or 8-hour long, whatever, solo campaign that asks some stupid questions, but that doesn't
And at
matter.
the end they'll say, "No, it's cool."
Yeah.
Like that'll be the answer to it. It's like, "No, it's awesome." What are
Yeah.
you talking about?
And
Yeah.
at this point, you may be expected in this story to pull the pin from a grenade and hand it to a baby just so they can shock audience. Are they still doing that? The last Call of Duty game I played was Modern Warfare 2.
Oh, will they ask you, "Would you want to continue this part?"
Yeah, where they say this part is controversial and they have you go shoot up an airport. Do they
Yeah.
still do that in the series?
There was one other that did that. I really don't get into the storyline for those type of games because it's just I don't need to know.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
I've been
there's
told they're
nothing left.
excellent, but I just don't. I end up not caring at all.
You're like, now I want to go get dominated on multiplayer for 3 days
Yeah.
before I say screw this game forever.
But you do feel like games can like be a tool to be how you think of like issues in real life.
I don't think we're there yet, right? Like, if I say something about Russia right now, you're going to picture people in furry hats and Soviet
Right.
era uniforms, right? And that's because of movies,
Right.
as opposed to looking like I'd actually guessed 1982 United States.
Mhm.
Like 1982 Seattle is probably what Russia actually looks like, but we picture the Cold War and snow and stuff. That I think is thanks to movies. I think if you picture If you ask someone about cities on the Arabian Peninsula, they aren't going to picture sprawling mega cities like Dubai. They're going to picture camels and caravans, right? And again, that comes to pop culture. So I think if you ask someone about human augmentation right now, the perception that they have of it won't be guided by video games unless they're members of a very small slice of the population.
Right.
That is all.
I do feel like video games I know Bill's like, as soon as I asked Bill this earlier, he said, no, video games are not as important as you think they are. That was his response to that.
And culturally, I'm going to say yes.
Well, I don't think
They can be.
I don't think that
They are not.
I understand that I don't
Same thing
think
with
they're
anime.
important.
I think so. Call of Duty is going to reach the audience
Right.
to have potential social,
Right.
influence. But it's not. It's popcorn action.
Yeah.
It's just lightning quick explosions and twitching, which is very appealing. And a good chunk of the adult audience play, like a third of adults or something, play games like that.
Right.
But I don't think that that's going to get people started talking about human augmentation. And then Deus Ex is going to nail the story because that they really do have great writing and they put together a good story. But I don't think it's going to have the commercial success to really get people started talking.
Because there's no multiplayer where you can go bro out, right?
Yeah. And I just don't know, I haven't heard someone discussing a social issue through the realm of a game yet.
There are games that are starting to, I wish I remember the name of it. There's a game where you are a dot and all you do is float up, and every time you try to get close to the other dots, they run away from you.
Mm.
And it was just, and like it's the most lonely feeling game, and it was just, I can't remember exactly what
Never heard of it.
Yeah,
it's a 5-minute game.
And do you think that has pop culture influence? Is that why you
Well,
bring
no,
it up?
I'm saying that what it does is it shows how video games have a potential to go past movies when it comes to letting you feel things. Like, for example, we got just done playing and you were Joel carrying his daughter to safety.
Uh-huh.
Did you feel like when you're trying to run through the crowd and trying to get to safety, you felt like you're trying to get her to safety?
So you're talking about, I played The Last of Us for the first time very recently.
Right.
And you're saying, as I was playing that, honestly, that was my first time playing a game with the PS4 controller.
Yeah.
So I was sitting here going, man, these sticks are really smooth. Huh. No dead zones. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, I was sitting here
well,
marveling
I guess
at
what
the
I'm trying to say is like games give you where a movie or a book is how you are happy that someone's happy, or even like when you're laughing at someone else's dismay. Whereas a game gives you the chance that you're happy because you're happy. You know what I mean? Like you're not happy for the character, you're happy for yourself, or you're lonely yourself, or you're trying to carry your daughter to safety yourself. And I think that those
I've felt
mechanics,
greater child in peril stuff from movies than I did from
name
the last.
it.
The Road.
Oh, The Road.
Viggo Mortensen.
No, The Road. You are
hiding out in
worried
the
for
house.
that child,
That's right.
but you're not, and you're worried that he's going to take care of his child. I'm saying,
I think-
games give you the opportunity to be yourself, trying to take care of that child.
On the first scene where Viggo holds the gun to the kid's head, you're there with him. And
Okay.
the second time he does it, you're like, oh God, is this just a thing now? But I haven't found that in games yet. In games, I have found great participation in the discussion,
Right.
but I don't think games are driving any discussions yet. I
Well,
can't wait till they do.
He's saying that games are excuse me. Games are a superior storytelling device.
I'm not saying,
Or I should say interactive media.
right. Like you can, and you can give experiences.
So I think that unless the game is very linear, so storytelling.
I'm not even talking about storytelling. I'm talking about like putting people in the position to experience things so they can make a better knowledgeable discussion about it. Like playing a game as if you're blind. Like you can watch a blind guy, but if you play the game blind, like wouldn't that enhance your understanding?
Maybe I'd probably not be very good at it though.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's just those type of differences, or playing a game without sound, or playing a game where you are in a wheelchair, like stuff like that, where instead of watching someone in a wheelchair do something, you are a person trying to.
Do you think it's a better?
Or you can actually get in a wheelchair and try to live life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other way.
Are you saying it's a better vehicle for empathy than other
Yes.
forms of
That's what he's saying.
media? very few games have gotten me there. Like when I compare game scenes to movie scenes,
Okay, but I'm going to defend his statement just for a second. He's not saying that it has been done better. He's saying that it could be done better.
Yes.
It has a higher ceiling, which, I mean, you can't really argue one way or the other. We don't know.
yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen maybe opportunities for it. God, this one's tough to actually. I don't. It's not that my goal is to pick apart your argument, but it's
Yeah. No, I mean,
so
it's-
far
yeah.
comparing game scenes to movie scenes.
Mhm.
Grand Theft Auto 5, you play as Trevor for a scene in which you have to torture a guy.
right.
And it's weird because as a player, I personally tried to opt out, and the game it's gonna make you sit there until you pull his teeth out and pull his fingernails out, right?
Mm.
However, there was a scene in the movie Syriana in which George Clooney is tied to a chair and getting his fingernails yanked out, and I got a lot more out of that one. It wasn't from the perspective of the torturer, but I don't really feel like Grand Theft Auto gave you the perspective of the torturer beyond making you do it.
What would you rather read, a book or a choose your own adventure book?
Well, so I may have mentioned it before. Neil Patrick Harris's autobiography very recently released was called Choose Your Own Autobiography.
Mhm.
And
Which is
it was-
fascinating.
yeah. So until I've read that, I'm not so sure I'm prepared to answer that question.
Mm.
As of now, I would say books. However, as a kid, I read a whole lot of Choose Your Own Adventure books,
Mhm.
like maybe all of them. Not the Goosebumps ones. Those were just knockoffs.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I do think that games lose a sense of importance when they give choice. And I don't know how they're ever going to alleviate that, because then, like, it's whatever choice you made is okay because there was the other choice. I could have done the other thing. Whereas The Last of Us, you're not making choices, you're seeing choices being made, and that has a way more of a weight to you. So there is hurdles to get to, like, making choices or having agency and feeling the weight of, like, the experience. But I don't know. It's just like whenever I thought of when Deus Ex sequels come out, I was like, man, like, we're getting really close to human augmentation, and this might be the reference that we have, because in Deus Ex, like, they taught, like, this is what's going on. It's like
You said we're getting close to what?
human augmentation. Like right now, it's
I can put a magnet at the end of my thumb and I could feel the magnetic fields, which is pretty exciting.
That's human augmentation.
Yeah.
We're not getting close,
what I'm
dude.
saying.
We're there.
yeah. Well, I'm saying like to like this, like we're having like right now we're just people who are disabled are being able to be able to walk again and things like that. And then like the next step is instead of taking someone who had an injury to be,
You would just chop their leg off
I mean that's where
for the artificial
I mean I can
leg.
see that occurring eventually. I mean that's actually what the Deus Ex Human Revolution was about. Like they started off with veterans with disabilities, and then they started working with other things.
Yeah. I mean, I guess now there are prosthetics that are to a degree nerve controlled that they can strap onto somebody and they can at least have a prosthetic arm that can open and close the hand. And a few countries, I already forget which ones, recently signed something banning human genomic meddling, while at the same time in China, scientists are now getting ready to try and fiddle with some human embryos and DNA to see if they can get rid of congenital diseases.
That's fascinating.
So they used non-viable. They used like deficient embryos was the term they used to describe them, I think, and they altered the DNA in them to try to prevent recurrence of some consistent childhood disease. But it failed because they used bad embryos to
Right.
begin with.
Okay, I just want to summarize. So, Judd, you have several points that you're making here. First one, interactive media is better at is more relatable than non-interactive, right?
I think you summed up better when you said it has a higher ceiling, but they haven't really got there.
Sure, it has more potential.
Right.
Okay, your next argument is Deus Ex will be the word or the two words that we use whenever we talk about human augmentation.
I think it might be, yes.
And then we have the third thing, which was human augmentation is going to be huge.
I don't know, huge. I think it's going to be.
It's going to be
coming up.
more than what
Yeah.
it is now.
Yeah, it's going to be enhancement more than just repair.
All right. Well, so final thoughts.
I do know
Alex?
if you Google Hugo
I'd need-
augmentation, Deus Ex comes in fourth. So there you
Google says.
In
go.
There you go.
in a phrase, I'll say I disagree with all points.
Okay, cool.
And I'm going to leave it at that for final thoughts. But I disagree with each of these points for varying reasons.
Okay.
Your response, Judd.
I don't know. We'll have to wait 5 years from now or 10 years from now and see what's going on.
Okay. 10 years. I'll set a reminder somewhere.
Yeah, sweet.
Put it in the production calendar.
We'll just always have a countdown clock on our videos from here on out until we get there.
Sure. So in 10 years, Deus Ex household name. People will be chopping off their limbs and replacing it with robotic parts.
See, and the problem with that is what's going to happen, it's going to turn into an annual release. And before you know it, Deus Ex is going to be a cowboy game. And Call of Duty will be a fantasy series by 10 years from now.
Okay.